In 1987, two teenage boys in Arkansas were run over by a train. And to hear it from the sheriff's department, that's about all that happened. Over the next few weeks, we'll cover the controversy surrounding the boys on the tracks. In part 1, we'll meet the boys, recount what the train conductor and his crew witnessed, and discuss the initial police investigation, which included a very bizarre medical examiner's report. I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. If you're a fan of good old-fashioned mysteries, stick around, because tonight's story is the start of a doozy. This is Necronomipod.
The cover-up began immediately, expanded to the medical examiner, Fahmy Malik. We were absolutely puzzled and outraged over the ruling of accidental as a manner of death. We didn't think that the facts supported that ruling, and what we started out to do was just to obtain a second opinion. We met resistance from all fronts, from law enforcement, from the crime lab. We retained an attorney, a private investigator, and obtained court orders to get testable samples of everything that they had in order to get a second opinion. And Fahmy Malik refused to obey the court orders.
So we had a few weeks of fun and good times after Dean Coral, right? We did some poltergeist, some UFO, good stuff. Now we're going to piss some people off for a few weeks, right?
Back to the rough stuff, huh?
A frustrating story.
It really is.
Yeah.
Part 1 certainly was. We're off to a frustrating start.
It almost gives me vibes of Waco. How, remember when we interviewed David Thibodeau, and he said, it's a very scary feeling when the people that you call for help, law enforcement, are the ones against you. And this gives me that vibe that they're actively working against these parents.
It sure seems like that's possible. There's a lot of compounded incompetency, and it seems even more than incompetency. Willful neglect, disregard, something.
The cops in this story make the JonBenet cops look like the most professional organization there has ever been.
That's one way to put it.
Because I think at least in the JonBenet one, you can just say they were just dumb and negligent. I think in some of that stuff. Whereas in this one, like, they're going out of their way to skew the truth.
I have some thoughts on this that we can get into later.
Okay. I'm just setting the tone. You know, like, I just think it was probably poor judgment to, like, throw what was it, the Colorado Avalanche sweatshirt on JonBenet's body and move it. I don't think they were actively trying to change the outcome of the investigation.
That's fair.
That's one. Well, you know, we'll talk about it. Well, let's just dive in.
On August 22nd, 1987, in Alexander, Arkansas, which is in Saline County, 17-year-old Kevin Ives and 16-year-old Don Henry were kind of making the most of their last days of summer before school started back up. This would have been on a Saturday, and the two of them hung out in a parking lot of an arcade until about midnight, and then they headed back to Don's house to stay the night. Don lived with his father, Curtis Henry, and his stepmother, Marvell. Kevin's parents, Linda and Larry, weren't thrilled with Kevin staying at Don's house that night, but Kevin talked them into it. The reasoning behind this was that a couple weeks before, Curtis Henry called to Ives' house to see if the boys were over there. Linda answered the phone and was like, no, they're supposed to be at your house. And Linda found out that Don had gotten into a fight with Curtis, and Don and Kevin took off to stay at another friend's house.
Just for some geography, Alexander is 16 miles southwest of Little Rock, Arkansas. 2,900 people, so it's a small place. I don't know if that's even considered a suburb of Little Rock. That's
how far out?
16 miles. It seems pretty close to be such a small town to a big city, but
we're going to talk about Little Rock a lot in part 2.
Okay.
With it being so close, there's some, I guess, some influence coming out of Little Rock.
All right. Intriguing.
Now it's August 23rd, 1987, and the boys got back to Don's house around 12:15 a.m. The two of them hung out for a bit, and then at 12:30, they asked Curtis if they could go out spotlighting. Spotlighting is when you go out at night to flash deer with a bright light to get them to freeze so you can easily shoot. It's super illegal, and deer weren't even in season, but Curtis was like, whatever, just be careful, which is super irresponsible. But Don and Kevin were both experienced in hunting, and they had been out spotlighting before, so this wasn't a new thing. This would have been 12:30 a.m. when the boys left Curtis Henry's house to go out spotlighting.
We should try spotlighting in the studio in the dark. Just flash Mike with a flashlight and kick him in the nuts real quick. That'd be awesome.
My dad said when he was younger, he used to work at a grocery store, and at night they would turn all the lights off and play tag by throwing mouse traps at each other.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I would do that.
They would go in a back room and turn the lights off like a stock room and just throw a frisbee like real hard.
Break your nose.
Yeah, I'd go to the ground and just cover up. That doesn't end well. I would do the mouse trap thing, but not a frisbee to the face.
Yeah, I would be walking around like with my hands in front of my face.
Yeah.
Is it common to hunt at night like that in the dark? Seems kind of odd. Like, are you rifle hunting where someone could just be out for a midnight walk and...
Well, that's why it's it's illegal.
I mean, Jesus, that's crazy.
I knew about this from my time living in Southern Ohio.
Of course you did.
I was going to say, it seems like it'd be something that'd be pretty popular where there's not much else to do.
Yeah.
Like when you said, would you hang out in the Wendy's parking lot? Like, what are you supposed to do when Wendy's closes?
Like, I guess I don't have a problem with in theory, the practice itself, but I think like the opportunity for collateral damage with another person just in the area seems high. I don't know.
It seems horribly unsafe. Shooting in the dark like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
There's not a lot of lights, because you're doing the spotlight gimmick. So
especially if you're shooting rifles that go a long distance, right?
I think it's half danger for other people, half not humane, I guess, for the animal. Like it makes them it really makes a deer freeze in its tracks.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point. Sure.
Yeah. So it's not really fair, I guess. There's no skill in spotlighting.
Look, if we want deer hunting to be fair, we should give rifles to the deer.
I am all about like most dangerous game styles. If you're going to be a hunter, which is fine. I have nothing against hunting, but let's up the stakes. How about you're hunted too? Kill or be killed.
You really want that deer meat so bad?
Yeah, right. I would watch that show.
I would watch that too.
Intense TV.
At 4 a.m. on August 23rd, conductor Jerry Tomlin was operating a freight train that was a little over a mile long. Jerry had two very experienced crew members that night, so he was doing some paperwork because up until this point, it was smooth sailing and he trusted his crew. While Jerry was working on his paperwork, crew member Stephen Scher rushed in to tell Jerry that there was a dark object on the tracks. Anything on the train tracks is obviously an issue, but according to Jerry's statements, sometimes you'll hit a dog or a deer and you can't stop the train for that. You need to assess the situation because it's really hard to emergency stop a train.
That's why they have those cow pusher things at the front, right?
Mm-hmm.
Push them right off.
Yep. Jerry was shining the train's brights at the dark spot when he got a reflection of light back. At that point, he realized that this dark spot was two young men lying on the tracks. And the reflection he got back was his brights reflecting off of a rifle. Jerry pulled the emergency brake and started to blow the whistle over and over again. There was a very slim chance that the train could stop before it hit these two young guys, but more than likely it wasn't going to stop. So blowing the whistle to get them to move was really the only option. As the train got about 100 feet away, Jerry and the crew could see that the boys were laying completely still, arms at their sides, laid perfectly across the tracks. Like we said, they could see a rifle laying next to one of the boys reflecting off the brights, but they could also see a green tarp that was covering them from the waist down.
I'm not questioning these eyewitness accounts, but it seems very difficult to make out these details so far away, moving so fast at night. Doesn't it?
100 feet away is not that far.
But you're coming, like, how fast was this train going? You're coming in. Trains are moving fast.
I mean, right? I know, like, on a highway, you can outrun them, right? So maybe they're going 50, 55.
That's what I was going to say. I believe the report said 55.
Okay. I'm not questioning. It seems moving that fast. And all of a sudden looking, there's a lot of details in this eyewitness account
But if you're also trained like this, you're always looking out for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
He's got more of that skill set to be able to kind of see things out there. It is a lot to see. I certainly wouldn't be able to do it.
The train's also slowing down because in a second here, Jerry Tomlin's going to pull that emergency brake. So it's slowing down. It's just, there's no way to get it to stop in time.
Yeah, I guess in a 2-3 second span, you could kind of take all that in, everything.
Yeah, you're not seeing him move.
Tarp.
You're not seeing him try to get out of the way.
Yeah, all right.
You're seeing a green tarp.
I'll allow it.
So as there was nothing to do, the train ran over the two boys. Once the train finally stopped, Jerry notified the police as well as the train that was coming from the opposite direction. He told that train that they hit these boys and there was for sure going to be a scene that the police were going to have to process, so they needed to stop before they hit that stretch of tracks. After Jerry made those calls, he and other crew members got out with flashlights to investigate. 35 cars back, they found the first remains, which were small pieces like fingers, and then they found the torso and head of one of the boys. Jerry and the crew all stated that aside from the shock of the whole incident, they were stunned at the lack of blood and the color of the blood. All three men said that the blood was a dark purplish color and there wasn't much of it. In later statements, Jerry pointed out hitting a cow or another large animal like that, and that the blood is always bright red.
That has to do with the oxygen level in the blood, right? I tried to research that, but I got queasy reading about it, and I had to stop. I can't look into stuff like that. I just think we just watched the movie X not too long ago, and we did a Patreon show about it.
Patreon.com/Necronomipod, $10 tier. Hear us talk all about X and Kid Cudi and his cock.
That's the one. But in the early scenes of that movie, there was a scene where a cow had gotten hit by a semi, and it was just, complete annihilation all over in bright red blood. That's how I would initially picture.
Did that scene bother
like
you?
This.
It made me want beef jerky. No. I'm not gonna lie.
It did not bother me. No, I realized it was not real. So, although it might have been, they might have used a real cow for that. It sure looked real.
I mean, do you want that though? I was just listening to Art Bell and they were recapping the poltergeist and how he used real bones and all the curses that caused. Do you want?
Oh, that's right. They did.
You want to use available on Cursed Movies at Patreon.com/Necronomipod bonus show. We discuss all the cursed movies. But if you use a real cow, I don't think you want that kind of potential karma coming over you, right?
Is there karma?
I guess it depends on who you talk to. Cows are sacred in some areas of the world.
I often think about that. Just the one McDonald's in town, how much beef they have there, and then multiply that by the amount of cows we must slaughter in this country every day.
It's
astounding.
I'm
number.
good for probably at least 3 of those cows a day with all the double quarter pounders of cheese I'm eating.
I don't really eat much meat anymore. I was just thinking about that one day. Millions. It's got to be millions and millions of heads of cattle every day.
Are you trying to convert us here or something, pal?
No, I just...
So I will have you know I watched the movie Super Size Me, and I have never craved McDonald's more in my life. They have the reverse effect on me.
The train spotted the boys at 4 a.m. Police arrived at 4:40 a.m., which were from the Saline County Sheriff's Department, not the state police. The officers on scene were Deputy Talent, Deputy Elmendorf, and Lieutenant Richmond, with the sheriff being James Steed in communication with them. State Trooper Wayne Lanehart also arrived on scene, but stayed back because it wasn't his jurisdiction, and the Sheriff's Department did not want his help. He showed up, he just heard it over the radio and happened to be by, and he's like, all right,
help out.
Yeah, they told him to fuck himself.
Sounds about right. Do you know the exact positions of these bodies? Was their neck resting on one of the tracks? Were they?
Yeah, so their neck was, their head was to the west.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just straight across the tracks.
Feet would be hanging off the other side of the tracks. So in theory, their ankles should have got cut and their neck should have got cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jerry Tomlin and his crew told the officers from the sheriff's department what had happened, showed them the body parts they found, and Jerry led them to the green tarp that the boys were covered with. Jerry and his crew members were adamant that the boys never moved an inch, even when the train was feet away from them. Like something was definitely wrong with this whole situation.
God, that has to be maddening because they're trying to slow down. They're probably almost closer to a complete stop as they're about to, and just nothing you can do.
Yeah.
The
description in the book, The Boys on the Tracks, from Jerry Tomlin, it's scary.
Awful,
yeah, they're sitting there freaking out. Him and his crew,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, he said you could just feel You could feel the train hit their bodies, kind of hear it. And
that's awful.
Yeah, there was just nothing to do about it. Pretty quick into this investigation, things got weird. After Jerry and his crew told the officers what had happened, they overheard the officers say that they were just going to treat this like a traffic accident. State Trooper Lanehart was like, hey, we should keep everything open because this doesn't sound like a regular traffic accident. And he was pretty much told to shut up. State Trooper Lanehart's concerns were backed up by the EMTs. When the EMTs arrived, they too noticed that the blood at the scene was dark purple, and it should have been bright red, or maybe just a little darker red at this point, but it still should have been red. They also noted that more complete parts of the remains, quote, looked like mannequins. However, the sheriff's department said, we don't care. This is being treated as a traffic accident.
Do we know how many, quote, complete parts there were?
End quote.
I guess I just associate being hit by a train as your body exploding, but I guess that's not really what happens when you get run over versus getting,
especially if it was
hit,
slower,
right?
Too, right? If these guys slow down to 30 some miles an hour and it just kind of goes over you.
Like that classic video of someone jumping out into a train and their body just explodes. Have you guys ever seen that from way back?
No.
I guess this is not that scenario. It's because run over.
How they were laying, like how you asked, the way that they were laying allowed for their torso to, like, a lot of injuries to it, but
it went under the train,
right?
Most of it,
yeah. Those parts were still fairly intact,
yeah, and that makes sense.
And like there was, like a calf, and we'll talk about a foot later on.
All right, gruesome.
Probably not the best scene,
and it's probably not something that the train personnel are used to seeing. Dead bodies. I don't think you often run over people like that.
They animals more, but it's more like hitting a deer or whatever.
The investigation continued to get more bizarre. First, that train coming from the opposite direction that Jerry Tomlin called to stop was given the go-ahead by the officers to proceed before any evidence was collected. So this other train just drove over everything.
Crazy.
Next, the officers started to act like they didn't believe Jerry and his crew about what they had seen. Regarding the rifle Jerry saw laying next to the boys, the officers kept calling it an alleged gun. Like, so where is this so-called gun that you saw? Because we don't see it.
So-called.
Yeah, being very aggressive with that whole thing. Like,
right.
Look, show me where this gun is, kind of thing. Then the craziest shit that I've ever heard in police doing stuff with these kind of botched investigations. The officers told Jerry Tomlin, you didn't see a green tarp. It was just an optical illusion. And Jerry Tomlin's like, I just walked you up to this 20 minutes ago and showed you guys, like pointed it out. And the officers just said, yeah, that wasn't covering the boys. That was just an optical illusion.
So we saying the tarp was on them still post collision? That seems crazy.
it was ripped off.
But it was somewhere else. They're pointing it out.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually
and the
on
cops
the
are just
bodies.
saying, you see, the conductor's saying it was on the bodies when they hit.
But not after, is
and
what
then
I was clarifying.
the cops are like, oh, no, you didn't see that on their bodies.
Yeah, afterwards it got thrown off, ran over by the train and thrown off. And that was part of the evidence that Jerry Tomlin and his crew found, just laying by itself.
I just wasn't sure if it was still on the whatever remained of the corpses.
But he pointed it out to the officers, like, we found this tarp. This was laying on them when we hit. But no, the officer, no, that was an optical illusion.
Let me preface this by saying, with all due respect, because I get hate from people sometimes, being critical of law enforcement, but I would just say, think about your own profession. Aren't there some people who are terrible and incompetent, and don't you think they should be called out on it because it reflects poorly on your profession? I don't think this is any different. I mean, there's no national minimum standards and training for law enforcement, so the level of competence of police in some places is not going to be great. I mean, that's not slamming the police or anything, but it's going to vary, and you're not going to find well-trained, competent police in all these jurisdictions, especially in a small town of 2,900, right?
I will say that when it comes to the stories we have covered, I don't think we have ever been unfair to police. We give them props when they do a good investigation.
And that's what I'm trying to point out.
When they don't, we call them out on it. And it's as simple as that. Have there been, side jokes made? Maybe, but I don't think it was specific to an actual investigation or any specific department or agency. We're just telling the story like it is and giving our thoughts on it. I don't know how anyone can hear this story as it's being told thus far and think, oh, the cops got it right. This is how it's done. Like, we don't know that the train conductor has an agenda to lie and make this stuff up. So why would you not take the witness's statement on this?
Well, this is the first hint. This green tarp thing is the first hint in this story that this isn't incompetence. This is purposefully covering something up.
Well, those are two different things, but I guess we'll see. I just want to point that out. So don't send me messages about how I hate law enforcement. That's not what I'm saying.
At 5 a.m., Curtis Henry woke up and quickly found out that Don and Kevin didn't come home from spotlighting. Curtis knew where Don went to hunt, which was by the train tracks. So Curtis went driving around on dirt roads in that area looking for the boys when he came upon a deputy. Curtis asked the deputy if he had seen 2 teenage boys in the area, to which the deputy said no, even though he knew damn well that there had been 2 boys hit on the train tracks. Curtis drove around a bit more and then decided to go home and call Linda Ives to see if the boys were over there. Linda wasn't thrilled with Curtis Henry to start because of that whole argument incident and the boys left last time Kevin stayed over there. But now she's really like, what the fuck? You let them go out and illegally hunt in the middle of the night. And Curtis told her not to worry and that Don knew that area like the back of his hand and they would be home soon. About 2 or 3 hours later, so this would be around noon, Curtis called Linda back and he was in a panic. He said, quote, "Get over here quick. They've been shot and tied to the railroad tracks and they've been run over by the train."
Shocking statement.
Yeah, pretty crazy to hear.
You don't want to hear that over the phone or in person, but
goes from, oh, though my son knows this area, he'll be home any minute, to, oh, they got ran over by a train, they're dead.
Linda was in complete shock. Like, she didn't know what to make of what Curtis had just told her. Her husband, Larry, was also a train conductor, and he was out on a job. So Linda called her neighbors to come over to watch her daughter, Kevin's sister, while she figured out what was going on. When Linda got to the Henry house, the first thing she saw in the driveway was Kevin's 1987 Camaro. So she thought to herself that Curtis was wrong, didn't know what he was talking about. However, when Linda got out of her car, Deputy Talent walked out of the house to meet her.
I had a 77 Camaro.
Yeah.
That's all.
I wasn't alive then. Was it cool? That was a sweet car.
It had no floorboards in it. So
is this
remember
the
we
one?
talk about shooting bottle rockets out of the bottom?
Awesome. Driving around listening to Kiss's Love Gun 8-track at that time.
You know it. Did not have an 8-track.
Just before 8-tracks, right? What is just a regular radio, I guess? No.
I had a CD player. Aftermarket.
So this was like more like 90s you had it then.
Well, I wasn't driving in the 70s. Yeah, dude.
I don't know, man. You could have been.
What are you talking about?
The 80s at least.
Oh, the 80s, yeah.
That's what I just assumed it was that.
80
years later.
8-ish.
I'm just saying, but there wasn't CDs in 88 for whatever your first car
There was.
Is there CDs on?
I think so. Maybe I'm
that I honestly
maybe
don't
not.
know.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
Cassette
I was thinking that was
tapes,
cassettes.
Maybe it was cassettes.
Cassettes at that
Yeah,
time.
you're probably right. Now I don't fucking remember.
So Deputy Talent tells Linda that the 2 boys were hit by a train last night, but Curtis was wrong. They were not tied up or shot or anything like that.
Where did he get that from?
It's not clear where he
Really?
Yeah.
This is the first very strange part of this story that I
I don't know.
hard to explain.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, that's very specific.
Yeah.
And someone told him that.
Or he overheard something.
Or did she recall this later and was embellishing?
That could be possible too.
Yeah.
Talent told her that they hadn't identified the boys yet, but they were in the process of matching dental records. What led the sheriff's department to the Henry house was a camo baseball hat that had a Little Rock Electric logo on it and Henry written inside. Curtis Henry was high up in the Little Rock Electric Company, and Don always wore that hat. Deputy Talent asked Linda for a description of what Kevin was wearing that night, and it matched what was found at the scene.
I think it's mandatory for every male over 16 to wear a camo hat in Arkansas, right? I think you get arrested if you don't wear one.
Hey, I like
Sounds about
camo
right.
hats.
Skull ring in your back jeans pocket. Cowboy boots. Lip puffed out 3 inches from that big dip in your mouth. Cut off shirt.
Oh, yeah.
We got them pegged.
I used to chew back in high school
Did you?
for a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Doesn't it make the I think I only tried it maybe once. I didn't do it consistently. I didn't like it.
Dip
like
or chew?
Dip. I did dip. I don't think I did chew. I preferred smoking if I was going to do any of that. But like, doesn't it like the dip, like it just like raws like the front of your lip, right?
Yeah,
It
it's
just makes-
awesome.
Is that cool? Like, is that,
It's disgusting. I don't even know why I did. It was like for a couple of weeks. I'm like, yeah, what am I doing?
and you just
here?
have to watch these people spit. And I'm like, that's disgusting. Bing, bing, bing. Yeah. Like, is it fun for people to spit? Like, it becomes an addictive habit, I'm sure. But like, do they enjoy just spitting into cups all day?
No, because you swallow it by accident every once in a while. And you're like,
Well, a real man doesn't spit it at all. It just swallows it. That's what I have been told. Have it on good
a good
authority
point, Mike.
that real men just kind of
The
swallow it or
Guardians.
spit one time.
Terry Francona takes chew and bubble gum mixed together and just chews on it. So he has to be swallowing a good bit.
That's a man's man right there.
Just mixing the two together.
The inside of his mouth is just leather at this point. That's all it is. He hasn't tasted anything in 30 years. He goes to the dentist. He's like, nope, no Novocaine. Don't need it. Everything's dead.
When Monday morning rolled around, dental records confirmed that the bodies were Kevin Ives and Don Henry. And at that point, autopsies needed to be done. Before we get into that, I wanted to cover the scene at the tracks a bit more. By Monday morning, word had spread around town, and the news was reporting on the boys being hit by the train. People in town being nosy, as well as one of Curtis Henry's good friends, went to the scene to check it out.
I mean, it's such a small town. Everyone knows everyone there. So, of course.
Yeah. And the police never roped off the area, so it was like a free-for-all.
Why would you rope off the area?
Well, they didn't have rope in the budget, Dave. What do you want them to do?
Curtis Henry asked his friend to go down there because he couldn't stomach going there himself, but he wanted to know if anything was left behind. Turned out, good thing Curtis Henry didn't go himself because his friend found a severed foot belonging to one of the boys that was just laying by the tracks, completely missed by the sheriff's department.
How is that even possible?
Missed.
Come on.
Well, if they were covering something up, you'd probably want to get rid of,
I don't know.
not just leave a foot
Maybe they
laying
just say,
around.
oh, it was the train. There's evidence the train exploded the body.
See, and this is where the incompetence part comes in, right?
I mean, either way, why is that sitting there?
Definitely
Like it-
shouldn't have been, yeah.
Even if you were trying to cover it up, then you're incompetent at that, right?
Like, just any which way, it should not be there. If you don't want it there, fucking kick it into the woods or something. Like,
Friends of the Ives family also found a very large piece of cardboard that had a massive stain on it that sure looked like blood. If we remember, the officers wouldn't believe Jerry Tomlin about there being a gun at the scene. A group of people found multiple pieces of a shattered .22 rifle that was the same type that was owned by Don Henry. When Don Henry's clothing was given back to his family that morning, his stepmother Marvell found a dime bag of weed in his pocket.
I think remember the dime bag comment for later.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about this again.
But just, this is like a complete not giving a fuck at all.
No, absolutely
You
not.
leave a severed foot, you're giving clothing back with something that the police would be interested in. If they found the dime bag,
right.
they would definitely maybe put some pieces in
There's
order
less
for
than
them.
an investigation here. This is tells me they want this all cleaned up and done and to go away immediately.
And to add insult to injury to the Ives and Henry families, the sheriff's department was now working an angle that this was a potential double suicide. The sheriff's department interviewed multiple friends of Don and Kevin, and all they asked was, were the boys suicidal and how much weed did they smoke? And we're talking about a small town in Arkansas, so drug use, marijuana use, whatever, is not looked highly upon, or, you know, you really look down.
Even though everyone's doing it.
Yeah. But Linda Ives is like, it's like they're making our kids out to look like these huge, like, druggies.
Yeah.
Like these suicidal druggies.
It's like every other teenager in this country weren't doing the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like an episode of Reefer Madness here.
now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. You ever have one of those days where you couldn't wait to get to sleep at night? But as soon as you put your head down, all your problems come racing back into your mind, keeping you up, tossing and turning all night. Yeah, it happens to a lot of us. It seems we all tend to focus more on our problems instead of focusing on solutions to these problems. How do you think your life could change if you had a different mindset on problems, focusing more on solving them as opposed to stressing about them day in and day out? It can be tough to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode, especially when faced with challenges in life. But when you can learn to find your own solutions, there's no better feeling. Working with a therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or small they are. Your mental health should be taken seriously. Nothing can cripple your day or stunt your motivation more than feeling depressed, anxious, or sad. We all have a lot of problems to deal with in our daily lives, be it the struggles of work, raising a family, or even paying bills. Focusing more on problem solving can help improve your mental health. And for that, BetterHelp is here for us. If you've been on the fence about trying therapy, BetterHelp is a great option for you. It's convenient, affordable, and entirely online. After filling out just a brief survey, you'll get matched with a therapist, and you'll be able to switch therapists anytime you want. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/necro today to get 10% off your first month. Again, that's betterhelp.com/necro. And thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's podcast.
A week after funerals were held for Kevin and Don, the chief medical examiner of Arkansas, Dr. Fahmy Malik, finished up his report. Fahmy Malik was an Egyptian immigrant who completed his medical training in Cairo, Egypt, before moving to the U.S. He was hired as chief medical examiner by then governor of Arkansas, Bill Clinton, in 1979. We'll get to more of Dr. Fahmy Malik's background and previous works later in the series, or actually later in this episode. But for now, the Ives and Henry family had to sit down for a scheduled meeting to hear Dr. Malik's findings.
Before we go any further, I'd like to make a statement here. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not hire that doctor, Dr. Malik. I never told anyone a lie, not a single time.
Never in your life, no lies?
Not a single time.
This is the first time Mr. President's been in our studio as a heel, I think, in my mind at least. I'm not sure he's welcome here for the next few weeks. Maybe at the end we'll have him give his official final statement.
I got lots of thoughts on this, Mike.
I'm sure he will express regret and remorse for his actions.
You know it, baby. Let's go get some Big Macs.
Now we're talking. All right. You're a baby again. You're back to baby face in my mind.
When the Ives and Henry family arrived, they were met by deputies from the sheriff's department that we already talked about, and those deputies were going to be sitting in on the meeting. Larry Ives had that piece of cardboard with the big stain on it, and he turned it over to the officers at this meeting so that it could be handed off to a state testing facility. Spoiler alert, that piece of cardboard was never documented, and when asked about later, the sheriff's department said that it was never given to them.
There's some really heavy-handed stuff going on here already.
Yeah.
Showing up, well, we're going to sit in this meeting with you and oversee it and all. Like, no, that's not necessary. When do you ever see that happening?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, what, trying to intimidate. What do you like? Why do you hear?
Right.
This has nothing to do
like
with
how many deputies? Like 2 or 3 deputies in the room? Is that necessary?
Well, and this isn't the only time. Linda Ives is going to try to get the EMTs. She wants to hear their report and sit down and have a meeting with the EMTs. And deputies sat in for that as well.
I got to tell you, being detained by Southern Sheriff's Department deputies is on my list of things to do right after being castrated. Like that's not something I ever wanted to do, right?
There's no holds barred down there.
No rules.
Almost happened to me one time.
Yeah.
Another story for another day. Honestly, don't even remember what southern state I was in. So we were traveling, but it was the South. Any hoodles.
Once they were inside, the Ives and Henry families were immediately thrown off by Fahmy Malik. Before they were allowed to sit down, Malik needed to take a Polaroid picture of each person and have them sign a form that they were in attendance.
What the fuck is that?
It's fucking weird.
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No. Why? What are you going to do with this photo of me?
It's just intimidation stuff.
Once they sat down, Malik passed around copies of his report that said, at 4:25 a.m. on August 23rd, 1987, Kevin and Don were, quote, unconscious in a deep sleep on the railroad tracks under the psychedelic influence of THC. And that resulted in them being accidentally ran over by the train.
Psychedelic. You know how much THC is in pot these days? Like, it's so much.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at
42 THCs.
But even like medical marijuana high, you can get up to like 25, 26% THC.
Mm-hmm.
Pot in the 80s, I looked and it averaged like 4%. Like the weed was just a lot less back then.
And yet people still listen to Pink Floyd back then. I don't get it.
Top 3 bands in the history of music, Mike. I'm not sure what you're trying to suggest.
All right.
The Ives and Henrys wanted clarification because they had never heard of weed making someone pass out to the point that a train would run them over. Without
I've
them,
never heard of that either. So.
Like without them making a single movement in the lead up to that train hitting them. One of the state police officers that wasn't buying this whole story, it wasn't Officer Lanehart from the beginning, but just one of the state officers tested it out, and he laid on the tracks and with a train coming to see how long he could actually stay there without moving.
Did he smoke a bunch of joints?
No, he did not.
Okay.
But he said it was absolutely fucking terrifying.
I'm sure it was.
And the vibration on your body. Yeah. No way that somebody wouldn't at least move a little bit.
Well, you
show some kind of life, right? Like
you're highly under the influence of weed many times, Ian. Do you think we would ever lay down on the railroad tracks?
No, I wouldn't.
Like, that's crazy.
maybe during the Catherine Knight episode.
That was alcohol, though.
That's true. We probably could have laid you on anything at that point. You wouldn't have been moving.
Like, who smokes joints and lays down on the railroad tracks, like right next
because
to
it's
each
so
other?
comfortable.
It's just a weird thing. That doesn't happen. No one would do that.
And that's why they were really, Fahmy Malik's thing says that they, fell asleep or they were in a deep sleep, but they were still really actively pushing this whole double suicide thing, that they did that on purpose, did this.
Was there any indication of suicide with these kids?
That's what I was going to ask.
Sorry, yeah.
Was there any part of that?
No, just two guys, two young guys having fun.
Seems unlikely.
Yeah. Dr. Malik acted really offended that the parents of these boys would question him. Like, how dare you ask me questions? This is what I found. Just accept it. The Ives and Henry's like, no, we're not going to shut up. You need to explain some of this. And at that point, Malik drew a line on a dry erase board. At the bottom, he drew a 5, and at the top of the line, he drew a 100. Malik then pointed at the top, which was the 100, and said, this is how much THC that was in their bodies. And the parents came back with, like, what is that measurement? What kind of measurement is that? And Malik said that it was units.
Mike, 100 units of weed. Can you imagine being under the influence of 100 units of a weed?
I'd be laying on train tracks probably. I mean,
What does that even mean?
That's the most ever. That's an overdose of weed. That's how you hear of all these people who've overdosed on weed.
Happens?
It's 100 units, I think.
100 units. That's the top.
That's why there's so many weed deaths in this country every year. Because I've been saying it for years. We need to cap it at 80. Anything over that's illegal.
No more than 80 units of weed
in your system at a time.
Oh, okay.
Right. That's my thought, but no one ever listens to me, and that's why we have so many weed casualties per year.
You even started a change.org petition, right? I think I signed it. No more than 80 units of weed
in your system at a time. Sure.
It's fair. It's enough. Do you really need 81 units of weed in your system? No, 80's fine.
You're not going to tell a difference.
No.
And if you get to 100, then what? You're laying on train tracks, comatose.
Yeah. Also, some of these doctors think they're the fucking Wizard of Oz or something. Don't question what's behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
Like, you're public servants, dude. Fuck you.
When the parents weren't buying this explanation from Dr. Malik, he got really irritated and pulled out a large envelope and said, these are the autopsy photos. Everything you need to know is in here. Linda Ives specifically was like, I don't understand how looking at our mangled children would answer any questions about toxicology and how much weed the boys had smoked. And Malik responded by pushing more with the pictures, like daring the parents to look at them. Shit started to really hit a breaking point, and that's when Deputy Elmendorf grabbed the envelope off of Malik and told him to stop. Elmendorf then leaned over to Linda Ives and whispered 20 joints. When they left the meeting, Linda went up to Deputy Elmendorf and asked him what he meant by 20 joints, and he said that Malik had told the sheriff's department that the boys would have had to smoke 20 joints to get that high amount of THC in their bodies.
So 20 joints, they're sharing them. So based on my conversion, 10 joints to a person is 100 units of weed.
Yeah. So they had this little dime bag in their pocket, yet somehow they smoked 20 joints also, right?
It's a really good deal.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they, by dime bag, it meant 10 joints, and they each had a dime bag.
A dime bag does not mean 10 joints.
We're in a system here. We're talking about units of weed in them. So I don't think we can just define what they mean by dime bag.
You're going to get 2 or 3 out of a dime bag.
I mean, a dime bag has different meanings for different people.
I was kidding.
Areas.
Like, I understand. I was.
We know you were, buddy.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm the biggest druggie here.
My idea of a dime bag is going to get you like 3 joints, probably.
It's like, I mean, it originated with a $10 bag.
Yeah.
And there's not more than, 2 grams in a dime bag, if that. So, yeah, 2-3 little joints.
Have you ever just had a little sandwich bag full of dimes and whacked someone with it?
I haven't.
Because that is a fun dime bag.
Have you done this?
It's in my fantasies, yes.
Oh,
like
okay.
That's the way I want to beat the fuck out of someone. Either pollywop them or dime bag them, because that'd be fun. Like you hear about like the bars of soap in the sock in prison.
Yeah.
I want to dime bag somebody. That'd be all right.
You should try it sometime.
Just walk up to someone, dime bag them.
That's what we got, the dime bag discussion with Mike. Hitting people with dimes in a bag.
Oh, that's more fun to me than talking about trying to break down how many units we're going to lie about putting in these kids.
So this explanation is fucking ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
100 units of THC. Okay.
The Ives and Henrys left that meeting stunned and not accepting Dr. Malik's ruling that the deaths were accidental. They wanted a second opinion, and they were referred to Dr. J.T. Francisco out of Memphis, Tennessee. The parents hired Dr. Francisco based on those recommendations, and he wasn't cheap. He charged them $200 an hour. He told the parents that he would be able to test both of the boys' blood and the urine of Kevin. He couldn't test Don's because Don's bladder was just destroyed by the train.
These parents seem to be pretty well off, right?
Yeah, Curtis Henry, like I said before, he was like a high up at the electric company.
Yeah.
And Witchman McCall was a train conductor, right? The other guy's dad.
Well, that's a good paying job.
Yeah, and you know the crazy thing about Larry Ives is that the way the schedule worked out at the time, he was out of town, but he very well could have been driving that train.
Oh, man, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Like a dad, there would be a solid chance that
Wow,
he
thanks
could
for
have.
that, pal. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
You took the story from -5 fun to -10 fun.
That's like the stories you hear about the fireman or an ambulance person that, gets called to an accident, it's their own kid, but that would be even worse.
Yeah.
I loathe this conversation. Let's move on. This is awful.
This process took some time, but when they got the results back, the families were disappointed to hear that Dr. Francisco agreed with Dr. Malik. The parents pushed back, like, this makes no sense. You said that you were going to test blood to make 100% sure. And eventually they found out that Dr. Francisco only tested Kevin's urine, no blood at all. Dr. Francisco said that he agreed with Dr. Malik based on inference, that Malik's lab met state standards, so there was no need to test the blood. Dr. Francisco's lab meets state standards, even though he isn't in the same state, and Dr. Malik's lab supposedly meets state standards, so the test would have turned out the same, according to inference.
What? That's what you get for $200 an hour, huh? Okay.
It's almost like someone called Dr. Francisco, maybe told him to stop what he was doing. Talk about that maybe
Outside
next week.
Interference?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Look, for half that price, I'll come to your house, pay my own travel and food. I'll bang your wife and I'll hit you with a dime bag. My dime bag. And I'll leave you with stained sheets.
Dime bag. And you'll test
Both my cum and your blood from the dime bag straight to your head.
Then you'll test the sheets afterwards, right?
If they want, just, to see how fertile I was and what I could have put in your wife. I'm going to talk about emasculating a man. Whew, they don't need to know that.
In February of 1988, the case was flat out cold. The community believed something fishy was going on, but as far as law enforcement was concerned, it was over and done with. So Linda Ives organized a press conference with the local media and some outside news organizations, and she roasted the sheriff's department and Dr. Malik. She held nothing back.
Good for her.
Then the following day, the families were contacted by District Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Richard Garrett, who said that up until that press conference, he thought everyone was on the same page with the ruling of accidental death.
He's like, oh, wait, you guys didn't accept that?
Richard Garrett said that he was going to hold a prosecutor's hearing, which would be a hearing to decide if the case needed to be reopened. And the main thing they wanted was another autopsy done by that was the goal for this, is another autopsy.
That makes sense.
Garrett introduced the families to a guy named Dan Harmon. At this point in time, Dan Harmon was in private practice. He was brought into this case as a special prosecutor. Dan Harmon was going to be organizing a grand jury to look at the evidence, which was pretty much just needing to prove that Fahmy Malik was wrong about the cause of death. A judge granted allowance for Kevin and Don's bodies to be exhumed for another autopsy, and this one was going to be conducted by Dr. Joe Burton out of Atlanta. The first thing that Dr. Burton found was that Fahmy Malik was way off about the THC found in the boys' systems. They smoked more like 2 joints instead of 20, and his scale of 5 to 10 units meant absolutely nothing.
You don't say.
The next thing of issue was the shirt that Don Henry was wearing that night. When Don's remains were found, he didn't have a shirt on, but what was left of his shirt was found nearby. This shirt was obviously really torn up, but there were a couple tears that stood out to Dr. Burton that looked like they might not have been from the train. And there were injuries to Don's lower back, because remember, they recovered his torso. And those injuries didn't look like the train would have caused them. Like, they stood out from the other ones. So he took the shirt to a private forensic lab in Atlanta.
So in theory, if they're laying like that, the train should slice the top right around your neck, right around your ankle.
I mean, I guess it was how they were laying on it, though, because it's not like train tracks are super wide. It could have been lower back-ish, and your legs are still dangling over the other side.
But a good portion of your torso should have been unharmed, because it should have gone under the train, right? Is that the idea we're working with here?
Yeah.
And I guess, do we know specifically, did the conductor ever give how he saw them laying? Or was that too buried, or he didn't even get into that? He didn't, was it like Dave initially said, where it was more like their necks laying on one side, neck and shoulders, and then their legs, feet hanging over the other?
Yeah.
Is that how it was described?
Yeah.
Or was it? Okay.
So the torso,
the lower back probably would be untouched by the train.
Should be.
Maybe just still laying
Based on
there
that
between the tracks.
yeah.
Or maybe thrown aside at some point, but untouched. I mean, I guess
but
it
not
could have
mangled.
But if the train's going over you, it's not going to be a clean. It's just horrible to talk about, but not a clean decapitation and cutting off your legs. The body's probably going to get caught up underneath and mangled a little bit and tossed and run over.
That's my question. I don't really know. I think that depends on speed and
he's slowing down. Yeah,
this and that. And yeah.
I could see that the torso could be pretty well damaged. I could understand that.
Yeah, I mean, everything was really damaged here. Nothing was clean.
Mm-hmm.
But what stood out to Dr. Burton was that there were injuries on his lower back that looked different from everything else caused by the train. This part of Don's shirt was compared with other tears in his shirt under an extremely powerful microscope. And this microscope could tell if the shirt had been torn by the train or cut with something sharp. Dr. Burton concluded that those tears in the lower back of Don's shirt were different than the ones caused by the train. These lower back ones were made by something really sharp, like a knife. There was also different blood stains around these presumed knife tears, meaning that Don more than likely bled into this part of his shirt from whatever made that tear before being hit by the train. The next thing Dr. Burton found was that Kevin had an injury on his left cheek that didn't match any other wounds caused by the train, and nothing on the front of the train would have made this injury. They were, like you brought up earlier, Dave, they have those cow catchers on the front of them.
Yeah.
They were expecting something along those lines on his face.
Okay.
Dr. Burton sent out pictures to another forensic expert, and it was determined that the injury on Kevin's cheek matched up with the butt of a rifle. Dr. Burton couldn't conclusively prove it, but the injury sure looked like it was caused by the gun that Don and Kevin had on them that night while hunting. Last, the amount of congestion in the boys' lungs didn't make sense. When there's a sudden and traumatic death, there isn't a lot of buildup in a victim's lungs. The high amount of fluid in the boys' lungs led Dr. Burton to rule that Kevin and Don had been dead before being placed on the tracks or severely knocked unconscious.
That fluid's still in the lungs when you exhume them?
Or is he looking at other, like the initial report?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know which one he would be looking at.
I assume maybe he was looking at the initial reports and then doing his own look at the bodies.
Yeah.
And maybe he's seeing things. And what was the guy's name?
Fahmy Malik.
Malik. I'm looking at Malik's report and like, well, this guy didn't even mention all that fluid in their lungs. He's focused on units of weeds.
So a lot of things not adding up here.
And that's just how I took it. I don't know what he did, but I got 71 weed units in me right now, so I'm getting close to my legal limit.
Can you imagine if this guy had 71 units of weed in him right now? What would be happening in here?
I'd be slapping you with dime bags.
You'd be laying on the ground crying.
I'm an aggressive weeder.
Is there a such thing as an aggressive weeder?
I don't know. We'll find out when I do a weed.
No, there's not.
I don't think so. The deaths of Kevin Ives and Don Henry were changed from accidental to undetermined, meaning that their case was now back open. However, the sheriff's department doubled down and held a press conference saying that they supported Dr. Malik and his findings. And even though a court changed the cause of death on paper, it didn't change it in their minds. On top of that, Arkansas State Senator Max Howell came forward to say that he personally looked at Dr. Malik's record and he had nothing but the highest respect for Malik and trusted his findings. All of these details were reported on by local news outlets, which resulted in the community wondering, like, what the hell was Dr. Fahmy Malik doing and why was he getting so much support from powerful people? So reporters started to dig deeper into Malik's background. Through digging, it was found that in 1979, Fahmy Malik was working as an assistant medical examiner for the state of Arkansas. And when Bill Clinton hired Malik, Malik didn't meet the state standards to be a medical examiner.
My secretary hired him. I was out of the country.
Furthermore, there was a committee that was supposed to look at applicants' credentials, but it turned out that this committee hadn't met since the early 1960s. And when members of that committee were still listed as being those members were approached by the media in the 80s, they were like, oh, we didn't even know that still existed. We
The 60s. That's how we got a podcast. We went to the podcast committee and we got approved. They're like, I didn't know we were still doing that.
Well, we submitted the paperwork that we were approved.
Somebody stamped our approval.
So you know we're on the fucking iTunes charts.
Hey, you're welcome, boys. That was me. I signed off.
The media also found some other really wild autopsies done by Malik. And there's a bunch of them, but the most absurd one was a guy was found dead in his home, and Fahmy Malik ruled that this guy's cause of death was an ulcer. The family of this guy was outraged. Like, how the fuck did he die from an ulcer? He was decapitated. and that's true. This guy's head was found with an almost clean cut to his neck. Malik defended his ruling, saying that the guy did in fact die from an ulcer, but the victim's dog, who was sitting alone with the victim for some time, chewed his neck until his head came off.
He must have chewed in a nice pattern to make a clean
legit.
cut, right?
You can't
Very
argue with
sharp
that science.
teeth. Sure.
There's also someone, and we'll talk about this person next week, or maybe on part 3, I don't know, but that Malik rules as a suicide, but he was shot 3 times in the chest with a shotgun, but somehow he committed suicide.
Real quick trigger finger. Got 3 of them off before he died.
Fahmy Malik is another one where points to cover up early on, because it's impossible to be that incompetent,
Yeah,
where you
man.
say someone died from an ulcer, but they don't have a fucking head.
So is the guy for sale? It's going to be interesting to look at this guy.
You tell us, Bill.
I didn't hire Mike. I don't even know the guy's name.
When this part was reported on, the public was calling for Malik's resignation. Like, how does this guy still have a job? In response, Bill Clinton hired 2 out-of-state pathologists to review Malik's findings, in which he used his discretionary fund to cover the $20,000 bill for that. Those 2 pathologists gave Malik the highest marks and suggested that he be given a raise. Bill Clinton and his board decided not to review Malik's files, not to really even look at the stuff that those 2 pathologists found. And instead, they sent a proposal to the legislator to give Malik a 41.5% raise, which was granted. And that's where we'll pick up on part 2.
That's a nice raise.
Not a single sentence of this entire outline is positive.
That is crazy. Let me see here. Discretionary fund, hookers, 100,000, Big Macs, 80,000. I got 20K left for a fake review. Let's get it done.
It's not an awful budget. I'll give them that. It's not awful.
It's kind of like the Office Space. Remember Office Space where what Peter goes in to get interviewed by the consultant. He's like, I'd say do about 15 minutes of real work every week. And they're like, this guy's got management written all over him. Let's get this guy a raise. This is I never heard of this. Like, I didn't know anything about this story.
It's crazy.
I still don't up until this point, but it's wild.
There's still a lot of twists. Part 2 is going to be full of twists.
Okay.
Names we've brought up in this one are going to come back, and it's crazy how many twists and turns there are.
Right. It's only 2 hours from West Memphis. Any of the same characters involved in this chicanery here?
Yeah, Bill Clinton. So I know it's hard to give final thoughts because we're in part 1 of probably a 3-part series, but any other last thoughts on this episode thus far?
There's an awful lot of fuckery going on. Clearly already. Clearly.
Hashtag fuckery. No doubt about that.
And every time I see the word boys on the tracks, I hear Nicki Minaj saying bees in the trap. I don't know why, so I hope half of you hear that all week too. Boys on the tracks, boys on the track.
Boys on the Tracks to me sounds like the most stereotypical Bruce Springsteen album. Just sounds like that's probably his early 80s album. When he first, like the first time I ever heard of Boys on the Tracks, Ian might have brought it up for something years ago. And I was like, what is he talking about Bruce Springsteen for? Like, it just sounds like Bruce Springsteen.
You hear Bruce, I hear Nicki Minaj.
One of them is good. The other one is Bruce Springsteen.
That is not true.
Bruce Springsteen,
at all.
Prince, and Pink Floyd are the 3 most overrated artists of all time. I'm not saying they're all awful, but they're the most overrated artists of all time.
Bruce Springsteen's probably overrated. I disagree with the other 2.
All right.
I thought you were bagging on Nicki Minaj. I misheard you. I apologize.
No, I was bagging on Bruce Springsteen. That's why I said, what did I say? I said one of them is the most overrated artist of all time. Oh, I think I did say it wrong.
Yeah.
Did I say?
Like, what was the guy talking about?
Yeah, no, Nicki Minaj is not overrated. Bruce Springsteen. If I said it wrong, I apologize. My joke was meant to be that Bruce Springsteen is overrated.
I don't love Bruce Springsteen.
It's not a joke.
I do love Pink Floyd, though. And
Bruce Springsteen is, I don't get it.
No, it's just,
It's like,
It's
almost like U2. Like, everyone acts like they're writing these revolutionary songs. Are you listening to them?
U2 is one of the most overrated bands.
They're the top 5.
Top
5. I put them top 5, sure.
Led Zeppelin is too. Let's be honest. They stole a bunch of blues guys' music, and it's not that great.
Perhaps, yeah. I wouldn't argue. I'm not a huge Led Zeppelin guy.
U2 for sure. I would even move them up to the top 3.
Oh, absolutely.
So give me your, off the top of your head, top 3 most overrated artists.
Oh boy!
Because
Here we go.
We got to be talking about like mega stars, probably. Like Dave, you probably would say like Michael Jackson. I know you don't love him, but mine again: Prince, Bruce Springsteen, Pink Floyd, and I would throw U2 in there as well. They're very close. And I'm not saying that all of those groups are awful or bad, although I might say that for some of them. But what I'm saying is they are overrated.
Overrated, I would say U2, Nirvana.
I agree that
And I like
Nirvana's
Nirvana,
overrated.
but I'm just saying that they're overrated.
I'm with you. I like Nirvana. I do think they're overrated, but I don't think they'd make my top 10 of most overrated.
So U2, Led Zeppelin, and I'm having trouble pulling the third.
Well, I'll do you a favor.
The Rolling Stones.
Oh, okay. He didn't need the favor.
Sorry. What was your favor going to be?
I was going to go pee and let you think about it.
Oh.
I was going to give you a pee break, but I can hold it. All right. U2, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure I'm missing one here, but I just, off the top of my head.
You'll think of it as soon as we end the
Probably.
show. And you're like, fuck, I missed this asshole. All right. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm excited for next week.
After all the positivity we had this week, I can't wait.
There's some crazy fucking twists that I want to talk about right now, and I can't.
Yeah. No, I like these ones that don't make sense. Like there's a lot of zigzag in here that doesn't really add up.
Yeah, that's the thing about this, at least part one, is nothing makes sense at all in this story.
Yeah.
So far.
Okay. We got some patron shout outs. Thank you very much to Coley Fonky, Tessa Midgley, Milo Caruso, Emily Bige, Nick Pfeiffer, Tegan Hokins, Hannah Taylor, Johnny Seeds, Steve Reynolds, Tara Grooms, Travis Eggert, N. Rinkeneva, Brownie B, The Harmacist, Leilau, Brian Johnson, not the AC/DC lead singer, spelled differently, Nicole Hano, Renee Wardle, Taylor Bartz, Benjamin Griege, Poodle, Eric Evangelisti, Mike P, Spoopy Creppy Mom.
These are pretty clean this week.
And you spoke too soon, pal.
Oh.
Creaming so good to Mike's Namaka.
Never mind.
Did you plan that?
No, I didn't at all. I was just sitting here thinking it.
Connor, Catherine Hawkland, Mike Shoop, Trenton Parker, Christy Screws, Blaine McCubbins, Andrew Coleman, Courtney Holmes, Mudflaps McGee. I feel like I've read that one before. Jen, Hunter Ferguson, Majestically Awkward, Holly Putnam, J.R. Gamby, Craig Blair, Big Papa Kev, Noah, Miles Ryder, A.J. Seifert, George Howe, Elizabeth Kraft, Francesca, Gavin Flanagan, Jose Lujano, Fieldy Snuts, and Carlos Detrace. Is that you, Dave? Fieldy Snuts?
No.
That's just a listener submitted
Yeah.
one? Which one was yours? Or did you not do one?
I didn't do one.
I tricked you so good. I didn't do one. Fieldy Snuts is a good one. We are at patreon.com/Necronomipod. Thank you very much. Ian, what do you got?
For iTunes, I've one for Kiki Antaco, Big Sean, CFH, Steely T, Star Scarlet, Juicy Pussy. It's back with another
Juicy Poozy. Nice.
Is it like a weekly thing? Like they just update their reviews?
one. It's happened a couple times.
Haven't seen Samantha Loves Dave in a while. I don't know what she's doing. She didn't love me anymore.
She fell out of love with you, pal.
Oh, it's all right.
She met someone else from a probably more successful podcast. So every time Juicy Poozy submits a review, is it like a new 5-star rating for us?
Maybe.
Okay. Thanks, Pussy. Adam or Mr. Pussy.
Flipper PM 09, King 1996, Brutally Blonde Wife, Podcast Commuter, Care Bear Mare, Ryan 05, and Necropals Unite. Thank you guys for the awesome reviews.
Fucking people.
Yeah. Bunch of good ones lately.
Dave, what are we starting with tonight?
From the foreign listeners, we have one for Harley MJ from Great Britain.
All right.
That's it on the foreign list tonight.
And as we said a few weeks ago, if you were a current or former member of our United States military, send us a DM and give you a special shout out. What do you got, Dave?
Got a couple of those. We have Coley Fonke from the Missouri National Guard, Wes Nelson from the Air National Guard, and Nikita from she's an Air Force vet. Thank you so much for your service, and thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. All right. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Necronomipod, Amazon.com. Search Necronomipod for all of our merch. Necronomipod.com. What do we still got up there? Stickers? There's still stickers?
No, they're all sold out.
All right, don't go there then. And Patreon.com/Necronomipod. For all of the bonus content at the $5 level, you're getting 3 bonus shows a month. At the $10 level, you're getting 4 bonus shows a month.
And ad-free early release episodes.
Look at that.
Can't beat that. Can't beat it with a fucking stick.
You're getting sometimes on Thursdays before the Sunday
Sometimes
release.
on Wednesdays.
Well, that's
it all
rare.
depends.
Rare, but yes.
It happens.
Occasionally a Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, typically. At the very latest, by Saturday morning, you have this episode for that week, the next Sunday.
You can brag to your friends you already listened to it while they're waiting for Sunday afternoon whenever Ian decides to get out of bed and post it.
And ad-free, no less.
All right, you guys ready for a cool down beer?
Cheers.